You are about to descend to the most inhospitable point on planet Earth. A place where sunlight has never touched, where the pressure would crush any human being in milliseconds, and where, until recently, it was believed life didn't even exist. But something was found. Something buried almost 11,000 meters deep, at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which not only survives under extreme conditions but may hold answers to questions that go far beyond our planet. While the world's spotlight turns to space, another race, silent and aggressive, takes place beneath the surface. And whoever wins this dispute may define the future of humanity. The question now is, why is nobody talking about it? At the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, between unstable tectonic plates and regions of complete darkness, lies a colossal abyss called the Mariana Trench. It is Earth's deepest point, deeper than Everest is tall, and for decades it was considered unreachable. Not by chance, few missions dared explore it. The risk is extreme. The technology required, costly and complex. And what is down there? Until recently, almost nothing was known. It was only in 1960 that the first humans managed to reach the bottom of the trench. Aboard an experimental bathyscaphe, a Swiss engineer and a US Navy officer spent just 20 minutes below, enough to record that life did exist, even under pressure 1,000 times greater than at the surface. After that, the abyss remained silent for decades. Until, in 2012, director James Cameron funded his own expedition. His solo descent revealed something even more surprising. The bottom of the trench was far from being just a mud desert. Organic fragments, anomalous structures, life forms never seen before. Cameron captured images that looked straight out of a science fiction movie, but it was real. And still, no one seemed willing to continue that mission. The cost was too high. The risks, unacceptable. And the returns? Uncertain. At least until then. The turning point came in 2020. While Western powers cut back investments in ocean exploration, China doubled down. A Chinese crew reached the bottom of the Mariana Trench with a new submersible called Fenduz. It was the country's deepest mission to date. But the most surprising thing wasn't the feat itself, but what came after. Unlike previous attempts, isolated and punctual, China decided to make this kind of exploration routine. And the secret was in technology. Tiny robots, some smaller than a shoebox, began being launched on autonomous missions thousands of meters deep. No cables. No crew. No manual return. These machines, programmed to operate in crushing pressure environments, came back with data, samples, and records that once would only be possible with gigantic submarines. The change of scale was drastic. What once was a sporadic feat became a replicable, cheap, systematic operation. And this constant repetition revealed something that caught even specialists by surprise. The bottom of the Mariana Trench holds not only extreme life forms but also mineral deposits that don't exist anywhere else known on Earth. The discoveries weren't limited to marine biology. Scientists found geological structures suggesting the presence of methane hydrates, known as flammable ice, a substance capable of generating clean energy on an industrial scale but that, if mishandled, could release dangerous gases into the atmosphere. They also detected rocks called polymetallic nodules, containing rare metals such as cobalt, nickel, and manganese, essential for producing batteries, electric cars, and solar panels. But the real turning point wasn't in what was already known, but in what appeared quietly, without fanfare, far from the news. Among the data collected by one of the Chinese robots, in a mission labeled as experimental, anomalous records emerged. Formations too symmetrical to be natural. Thermal variations incompatible with that depth. And a magnetic signature that matched no known geological pattern. The information wasn't officially disclosed. What is known came from partial leaks and cross-reports by international researchers who had limited access to the data. What exactly was found down there, no one confirms outright. But within the scientific community, tension is real. Some speak of technological structures that shouldn't exist at 11,000 meters deep. Others suggest China is not just exploring, it is installing permanent infrastructure on the ocean floor, with purposes beyond science. And here lies the most sensitive point of this whole story: time. China is building an advantage not only technological but chronological. They are gaining experience, testing equipment, developing protocols, and training teams at a pace no other country keeps up with. With each new mission, they accumulate more data, more control, more presence. And the sooner you learn to operate in an extreme environment, the sooner you can dominate it. The bottom of the Mariana Trench stopped being just a mystery of nature. It is becoming a strategic zone, a new frontier of power, invisible, silent, and without clear rules. And what is established now may not be possible to undo later. For decades, the Mariana Trench was described as the last limit of the unknown on our own planet. Scientists visited it with cutting-edge technology, governments invested billions in silent expeditions, and private companies began competing over what could be hidden almost 11,000 meters deep. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare the Prometheus 12 team for what would surface in its last descent. They weren't just measuring the pressure of geological layers, nor collecting sediment samples. What they were monitoring was a sequence of signals. Intermittent, almost imperceptible, like mechanical pulses coming from inside Earth's crust. At first, they thought of sonar failures, some reverberation caused by tectonic plates. But after the data was analyzed by a next-generation supercomputer, one anomaly drew attention. The pulses formed a pattern. 3 distinct series of sounds with regular spacing, interspersed by long periods of absolute silence. And that was when everything changed. Fearing a possible leak to the press, the mission was redirected. The data stopped being shared with civilian members and began circulating only among scientists tied to the military sector. Prometheus 12 dove again. But this time, with thermal cameras, infrasonic sensors, and a descent module specially designed to withstand pressures higher than ever recorded. At 10,732 meters, when natural light no longer reached anything and the world seemed to have forgotten there was life down below, the capsule captured something that wasn't in the plans. A metallic formation with a symmetrical aspect. No living being, no movement, but a structure, partially covered by sediments, emitting constant heat. It was as if something down there was functioning. Such a discovery would have been enough to alert the global scientific community. But what happened next caused an even more deafening silence. As they tried to approach with a mechanical arm to touch the structure, all signals sent by the capsule ceased. No light, no sound, no images. Contact was lost for 47 seconds. When the data returned, the transmission showed only absolute darkness. No sign of the object. No sign of movement. Just absence. Those responsible for the mission never officially disclosed what happened during those 47 seconds. But files leaked by a former consultant of the company hired for monitoring revealed an internal email exchange between 2 scientists involved in the project. One of them described the captured sound as similar to the rotation of a gigantic turbine, only resonating from inside the crust as if there were something hollow, something vast, in motion. That leak, of course, was quickly muffled. The former consultant disappeared days after making the content public, and his account was erased from all networks. With that, the speculations began. Some theorists suggested the object could be a probe of unknown origin, a remnant of a civilization before ours. Others believe the structure is part of a planetary surveillance system, a sort of sentinel dormant until then. But there is also a third line, far less publicized, yet even more disturbing, that what lies down there is not inactive, only waiting for the right moment to emerge. Shortly after the Prometheus 12 incident, a second expedition was sent to the site, this time, under the direct command of a U.S. military division. No official record of that mission was released, but satellites captured intense movement of ships with unidentified flags in the region. For 5 days, all maritime traffic around the Mariana Trench was blocked. And when the fleet left the area, no trace remained. Not even debris from the previous capsule. Why such secrecy? Why risk the lives of dozens of researchers and spend fortunes on descents that supposedly yielded nothing? And more, what motivated the UN to call a closed meeting about atypical seismic activity in the Pacific weeks later, with the participation of countries without oceanic programs? The absence of answers forms a pattern even more unsettling than the signals detected at the sea's bottom. In an attempt to explain what might have been found down there, independent scientists began reanalyzing old data, and found something curious. In 1997, a sound-dubbed bloop was recorded by NOAA hydrophones. It was the loudest sound ever captured in the ocean, but its origin was deemed probably natural. Now, with the new data, some believe the bloop was the first attempt to activate the structure. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: since the object was located, the scientific community involved in the project was silenced, the images erased, and the ocean ignored once more. But what is down there? is still there. And it has not stopped emitting signals. At the height of tension, aboard the experimental submersible Triton Abyss 12K, the silence of the depths was broken by something no one expected. The sonar system detected a solid structure more than 10,900 meters deep. A formation so symmetrically perfect that the scientists, at first, suspected data error. But the subsequent images left no doubt. There was a geometric anomaly, with right angles and regular contours. Something that should not exist where life itself already defies probability. As the submersible's cameras approached the structure, the researchers witnessed something even more incomprehensible. The object's surface seemed to emit pulsating bioluminescence, not random, but in rhythmic repetitive patterns. It seemed a kind of language, or code. The visual records were not immediately made public. They were delivered directly to the project's security team, under classified orders of analysis. For weeks, the data were studied by cryptographers, astrobiologists, and experts in ancient languages. No known pattern fit. No human communication system seemed compatible with the signals emitted by the structure. Until a DARPA artificial intelligence team was activated. What the AI discovered deeply shook those involved. The pulse sequence followed a mathematical structure close to the golden ratio, the same recurring pattern in life forms and natural constructions, but also present in ancient codes found in lost civilizations. The suspicion grew. What was there was not just a geological or biological artifact. It was intentional. But if it had been placed there, by whom? And more importantly, why? The speculations took dangerous proportions. While part of the team argued it could be a marker of extraterrestrial origin, others believed it was a remnant installation of a terrestrial civilization that vanished millennia ago, perhaps even predating any known historical record. A hypothesis considered extreme, yet not impossible, given that the Mariana Trench remains mostly unexplored. The debate ceased being only scientific and became political. Confidential documents reveal that, after the internal disclosure of the finding, a containment protocol was activated. The mission lost its civilian research status and was taken over by a joint US-Japan military division. Access to the site was sealed. The original crew was dispersed and barred from speaking publicly, while the submersible was retrieved for technical evaluations. But that was not the end. Behind the scenes, reports indicate part of the footage was leaked by one of the mission's data operators. They are short, blurred files, but they show what seems to be a hexagonal structure partially covered by sediments, and yes, pulsing with blue light, in intervals that follow a precise logic. The video's date and time match records of the last descent made before the mission was suspended. And from that leak a new narrative emerged, that what was hidden in the Mariana Trench may be a kind of message, a form of warning or instruction left millennia ago by an intelligence prior to ours. Something that, according to some alternative scholars, might even contain genetic data, historical records, or planetary displacement maps. Others go further. They believe the object is directly linked to cycles of mass extinction Earth has suffered across millennia. That it had been activated before, and can be activated again. Meanwhile, the official version remains, analysis underway, no conclusive data. No new manned mission was authorized to return to the exact point. The excuse is crew safety and the site's geological instability. But for those who closely followed the expedition's backstage, it is hard to believe that is all. The secrecy, the military presence, the abrupt cuts in civil funding, and the replacement of scientists with defense-linked engineers are not mere safety protocols. The truth is that, over 11,000 meters deep, hidden in the ocean's absolute darkness, something is there. And it may not be inert. Perhaps we were never ready to understand what truly inhabits the entrails of our own planet. Or perhaps, by touching this secret, we triggered a process still unfolding. A trigger that goes beyond what science can explain, or government control. In the end, the great question is not what exactly was found in the Mariana Trench, but what this discovery means for our place in the world. If we are not the first to exist, then, who came before? And why did they leave an artifact at the planet's most inaccessible point? Perhaps the answer lies there for one simple reason, so it would only be found at the right moment. The question now is, has that moment arrived?